Hey everyone, the last stop had to be Cairo. In our Egypt trip, we had to see pyramids, we went to see Egyptian Museum, the Great Sphinx, so here we were to look at the pyramids of Giza. We'd booked a private guide who picked us up from our accommodation. In terms of accommodation, please look carefully because it's an old city. Some areas could be really dark and dingy. Anywho, we came to see the pyramids. We didn't go inside because we had watched some videos and there's nothing much, and it's a very narrow walk where you need to bend. You can look at other videos on YouTube and search if you want to go. Then down the path was the Great Sphinx. Fun fact about pyramids, they were originally 146 meters tall, but due to erosion they are 138. They also have an outer cement line to it, and that would be the Great Sphinx, half lion, half pharaoh, symbolically to show strength, to show power. And this is not the only one. There were several found in front of it. It's just due to the timeline, this is the greatest one that survived a really long time. There are camel rides that happen in the area, which is pretty cool for people who haven't sat on a camel before. But yeah, I think the tombs there, the pyramids were not meant to be open because you could see you have the bricks, really small bricks that look really small from far, but when you stand close to them, they're huge bricks. And on top of them, there was another layer of just cement, which was completely covering. I'm not sure if it was cement, but it was a complete different layer to just shut it, which obviously due to erosion that got open. And then we went to the papyrus workshop and saw how to make paper.
To fix this problem, so at first I'm gonna use the mallet to break the fibers. Then we use the rolling pin to get rid of water. You can see the water comes out, and that's how it became more stronger. So from this to this. After that, we soak it in water for 1 week to get the white color, 2 weeks to get the brown color. So longer we leave it in water, the darker it is. After that, we bring 2 sheets of carpets and we start to put the slices in this way, all vertical, overlap each other. So all vertical, then all horizontal, like this. Then we cover it and put it under the press machine for another 1 week.
I genuinely loved this part because they showed you how it's made from the actual papyrus plant, peeled, soaked, pressed, no machines, just old school craftsmanship, and even beyond with all these neon work. Crazy, it was very, very good. Our next stop was the Egyptian Museum. We had hired a 3-hour guide, and I think I highly suggest it because it's so impossible to understand by yourself. After having looked at so many historical temples, structures, I was honestly confused with what came first, what came after, and why did ancient Egyptian culture just disappear out of nowhere, because currently no one practices it, which I was completely unaware about. So in this museum we took the guide that really helped because we could put our questions and he was very good at explaining us. They are also available everywhere when you reach, but we suggest book beforehand and get your guide or something, it's much more easier. So let me just give you a little bit of backstory. More than happy if you skip, but I feel it's really important. I will try to get in as much as I can quickly. So you have, if you talk about ruling chronology, before Egypt was independent states and stuff, the first early dynastic period was 3100 to 2686 BCE, and that is when the upper and lower Egypt started uniting. So you had something coming up as united Egypt, new dynasty forming, and that's where the invention of writing, hieroglyphs started, and then Egypt kings were seen as divine. Then the pharaohs kind of stood the status as god because their only job was to protect people and give offering to gods. Then came the Old Kingdom, which is where Great Pyramids came, the Sphinx came. You have rulers like Khufu then, and this is when power was centralized and wealth, but later it collapsed due to famine, internal strike, and decentralization. Then came the Middle Kingdom, which saw a lot of trade, agriculture, art. Again, due to foreign pressures or internal conflicts, it again broke down. Then you have intermediate period, which was there were some invasions that happened, so the ruling again went to someone else. Then came the New Kingdom, which is said to be a very good time for them because it was from 1550 to 1077 BCE. That was Egypt's golden age, the height of Egyptian power and rule. This is where you have rulers like Hatshepsut, which is the female pharaoh that I've talked about in the other videos. And that's when Tutankhamun was there. Ramses II built a lot of temples. You have massive temples like Karnak, Luxor, and all of this built at that time. And then this period ended because of external attacks, but it was a very good period for ancient Egyptians. Then third intermediate and late period was when it went into smaller kingdom because nobody as powerful came in to unite them. Then you have Libyans, Nubians, Assyrians, Persians that took control of Egypt turn by turn. And then in 332 to 30 BCE came the Greek rule. So it's still a lot of time that all these different people kept coming, and then the Greek rule came in. With the Greek rules coming in, all of these parties that kept coming from outside to rule Egypt, they were still happy to collect taxes from the ancient temples and still let them practicing their religion and stuff. And over time, when Alexander the Great came to to Egypt, and after his death, his general took control. Then Cleopatra was the last ruler of this line, and then after that, 30 BCE onwards, Romans started ruling Egypt, and that was pretty much the end because by that time they had, maybe because of the following rules and the power kept changing and not getting into the ancient Egyptians' hand, therefore the language, the temples, everything was abandoned, the religion was converted into, whoever ruled them, and that's how all of the ancient Egyptian culture completely ended. I mean, it's still, you can't say it's being practiced, but I don't know, you can just go see it maybe and understand it, but it's sad that it's not practiced at all because it's quite creative and nice. So now, how did ancient Egyptians cease to be? Now it's not something that happened overnight. It's definitely not something that a big calamity came in and it just disappeared. Now it was evolved. It just happened slowly. It was layer and layer of empires. It was destruction of culture, of language, of everything. So eventually people started forgetting because and by the time in 641, when Arab conquest happens, the ancient Egyptian identity completely faded and was replaced by other cultures already. You had a mix of so many cultures except ancient Egyptian culture because all the other religions and all the other cultures were so different from their own that it didn't really stand a chance then. Yeah, so that was the brief history, and now you'll see a lot of different stuff within the museum. We went exactly when the museum opens. It was still very crowded, so we started from the opposite side. We started with the New Kingdom, Tutankhamun, and the exhibition is brilliant. You have original mask, original coffin. We were not allowed to shoot there because it's actual gold. You have jewelry of King Tut. Brilliant stuff. I think it's really worth it. So what you see here are the mummification containers where it was divided into 4. Each of their head could come out and you could put heart, kidney, whatever, and the organs could be preserved separately out of the body. And then you have everyday items like chair. They made the bed as well, a swinging, a curved bed, and then you have this chair with so much detail. What's interesting to see was also like the handwriting, the practice writing, the rough scripts everywhere, such beautiful slippers. Then we also got to see real mummy. There were quite, I think, 2 mummies in the museum. I don't know, it's very. Then this is the god of mummification, Anubis. These were the long letters or long, I wouldn't say letters, but long writing stuff found in the tomb. And you have these again rough sketches around. The craftsmanship, I think everybody there, I feel like, did something crafty. This is really important. This is the Rosette stone, and this is basically a stone where the same message is written into 3 different scripts, which is what helped us decipher the hieroglyphs, because for 1400 years nobody could read hieroglyphs. They had been completely forgotten, but then a French scholar finally cracked it by deciphering, or by comparing it with the Greek one, because the text was written into 3 different scripts. One was the formal ancient Egyptian script, and then you have the everyday Egyptian script, and then you have the ancient Greek. Because the scholars knew the Greek, ancient Greek, they could decipher the literal meaning of it, and that really helped understand. It was a great breakthrough in history, which is why it is one of the most historically popular artifacts. And currently, the original one is in London, but the one that you see is a replica in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The inscription is a decree which is issued to praising the king Ptolemy, who was after Alexander, and similar to that, nothing like that has happened for the Indus Valley, so we do not know much about that, but this was great. Here you can see how the falcon god is right above the pharaoh, just to show protection. The pharaoh himself is like a baby pharaoh and the adult pharaoh. You have Anubis, you have the falcon god protecting, and then over time when you have Greek merging happens, Roman come in, the body structure of the sculpture is changed to show a mix of them. And this will be the end of the Egypt trip. It was so informative, it was so grounding, and at the same time it was sad. It was incredible to look at everything, to even imagine how life was back then. I wish I could meet people now from that time. But anyhow, see you in the next one.